It is 6 o'clock and we are going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to the September 13th meeting of ANC 2C, representing Penn Quarter Chinatown areas of downtown DC. I'd like to welcome you to our community meeting this evening. My name is Michael Schenkel and I'm the chair of the commission, and I'm being joined by the fabulous Commissioner Gigi Nelson. You'll wave there. There you go. We have 2 of 3 commissioners present this evening. As you are all, or most may be aware, that our 3rd commissioner did resign earlier this year. So we are looking forward to having a full commission be elected in November. So with 2 of 2 commissioners present, we do have a quorum this evening. I would like to quickly review the agenda for tonight's meeting, and I'll put that on the screen for you. Try to put that on the screen for you. There we go. We have, you may download the agenda from our website at anc2c.us, where it is available there. We will begin by approving the agenda and the minutes for June and July of 2022. We did not have an August meeting. We will have a treasurer's report followed by our community announcements, which will involve representation from the mayor's office, Councilmember Pinto's office. We do have Mr. Falls, who will be joining us, who is the community outreach specialist for Chairman Mendelson's office. We will hear from MPD 1 and MPD 2, which I saw both were on this evening. We will have a presentation from the DC Office of Human Rights, which will take place at the beginning. Then we will move into local events that impact the community. This is where we will discuss all parades, marches, Chinese New Year's. All of these activities will be discussed during that time. And we will be adding to the agenda tonight the 2023 holiday market, and Michael Berman will be joining us to discuss that. We have 4 Abra liquor licenses that will be reviewed this evening, 3 of which are at 609 14th Street Northwest, and 1 at Rice Bar at Marketplace at 801 Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest. We will also this evening discuss, we will have a presentation from DDOT regarding the 9th Street Protected Bike Lane project, which is open for community comment, I believe, at this point. And we will also discuss the installation of a new sidewalk cafe at 700 7th Street. We have 2 planning and zoning issues this evening to discuss, and both of those have to do with signage community. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda, Commissioner Nelson?
No.
Do community members have any additions or corrections to the agenda? Awesome. Thank you very much. Then I move that we approve the agenda with the 2 additions.
Second.
And all those in favor? Awesome. 2 of 2 commissioners voting in favor of that. I would like to just start off this evening by discussing a few of our ground rules for participation in our community. that we are on, of course, a tight time frame for our meetings, and unless previously scheduled time was asked for to be extended, each discussion will be between 5 and 10 minutes. The chair and commissioners have priority to end discussion and move to a vote on the matter at any time during the discussion. When we are presenting this evening, the chair will call on the participants who will be acknowledged to come on camera and provide a presentation for you. During that presentation, we will not take questions we will not ask questions of the presenters. And after the presentation is over, the commissioners will first ask their questions of the presenters or applicants tonight. All participants in our meeting should remain on mute with your mics muted unless you are acknowledged by the chair. This prevents disruptions during the meeting. And you can ask to be acknowledged to express your opinion or comments after the presentation by either raising your virtual hand in Zoom or coming off mute and asking to be acknowledged. I will keep a running list of participants in the order at which I see them so that they can be acknowledged to come on mic, on camera, and ask their question. Each person will be allowed to ask one question and one follow-up question of the applicant this evening. After all questions are answered and we're not at our 10-minute mark, additional questions may be asked of the participants. And this is just to help expedite our process. I know we have a lot of discussion tonight on a lot of issues. We want to begin anticipating our meetings and allowing people to have the opportunity to ask the questions that need to be asked during these meetings. Are there any questions? Awesome. And just reminding folks to please mute their mics or put their phones on mute or their devices on mute. At this time, Commissioner Nelson, have you been able to review the June and July 2022 minutes?
Yes, and I do not have any changes or corrections.
Awesome. And is there a motion to approve those?
Yes, move to approve.
I will second that, and all in favor? Awesome. So the June and July 2022 minutes are approved with 2 of 2 commissioners voting in favor. Commissioner Nelson, would you like to provide a treasurer's report?
Yes, I will. But before I do that, I would really just like to echo what Chairman Michael said about rules of engagement for these meetings. We know that, we have a lot of community members and all of us have a lot of opinions and comments that we like to make, and we certainly do appreciate those. However, we have a very full schedule tonight. So in the interest of time, if you would just please everyone follow the rules, we would certainly appreciate it. Okay, so for our July monthly treasurer's report, the opening balance was $66,744.71. We had one debit, which was for the post office box. That was $131, and that box is good for 6 months. So then the closing balance was $66,613.71. For the August treasurer's report, the opening balance is the same, $66,613.71. We had 2 debits in the amount of $350 for the minutes for June and July. So that left the closing balance at $66,263.71. And that's it.
Great. Thank you very much, Commissioner, for that. We would like to move on to our community announcements. To Ward 2's Mayor Liaisons, Julius Terry. Are you on, Julius?
Yes, I'm on. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Nice to see you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Forgive me for my light. One of my above light went out. So I have one announcement this evening. On Thursday, Mayor Muriel Bowser's National Maternal and Infant Health Summit is a keystone event. It is planned and executed by the Mayor's Office on Women's Policy and Initiative. The summit offers the opportunity to build on the growing public awareness and interest in maternal health and wellness with a focus on the district's investment in the health of women, babies, and family. The summit brings together DC residents, elected officials, health and education officials, and community-based partners to collaborate and explore strategies to improve pretermal health and address racial disparities and both outcomes. If it's okay, I'm going to put the link and more relevant information about the summit in the chat box, also included with my email address and my phone number. Again, I'm the Ward 2 liaison. Please feel free to reach out to me for any issues in the neighborhood or anything that the mayor's office can assist with.
Thank you so much, Julius. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Commissioner Nelson, do you have any questions of Mr. Terry?
No, thank you, Julius, for being with us tonight. We always appreciate your attendance.
Thank you so much.
We will, great comment there, Julius, about using the chat. You're welcome to use the chat this evening to communicate and share information if you would like. If you have any community groups or any community meetings you would like to announce, please feel free to put those in the chat as well. Do we have anyone from Ward 2 Councilmember Brooke Pinto's office?
Victoria, I'm here.
Hi, Victoria. How are you this evening?
I'm well. How are y'all doing? We had such a beautiful day today.
It has been. It's been great.
All right. I guess I'll just hop in. My name is Victoria Costarubias, and I work for Councilmember Brooke Pinto's office. So I'm going to just rattle off a bunch of updates. We're super excited to be back in session soon and back into the school year. So last week, or a couple weeks ago before the school year began, Councilmember Pinto and our team toured all of the Ward 2 public schools, including Thompson, to make sure that their buildings and staff are ready to welcome back students. Thompson in particular still has some outstanding work orders, and we're continuing to push DGS to resolve those as soon as possible for our students. And as folks also get back to school and into their offices and spending more time together inside, please remember that we have COVID centers in each ward of the city where you can get free at-home tests or rapid testing. There are also tests available at some public libraries, including MLK Library, our favorite. So I'll post links in the chat with some of those locations and hours. And additionally, the COVID centers now offer the new COVID booster and annual flu vaccines. And our Ward 2 center is in 2C on F Street between 9th and 10th. I know that I personally am going to try and get in this week to get my boosters shots. DC Health is continuing to offer free monkeypox vaccines to all eligible residents. They recently expanded this eligibility, and they're now offering a second dose appointment for this 2-dose vaccine. I'll post a link to this in the chat as well. And one of those vaccine sites is in Ward 2 at 1900 I Street Northwest. If you recently received or are getting a monkeypox vaccine, the CDC recommends you wait 4 weeks before getting another COVID vaccine. So make sure that you're checking in with your doctor and doing your research for the timing before getting either or any of these shots. In exciting news, Councilmember Pinto will be hosting her Ward 2 bike ride on the morning of Saturday, October 1st. This was rescheduled from a nearly 100-degree day in May, so hopefully it will be cooler by October. The ride will begin at Kennedy Rec Center and then make stops at Franklin Park, the Spanish Steps, and finish at Rose Park. I'll post a link that will include the route, the timing, and an RSVP form. So we hope to see you all out there. And I know that there's always a lot of interest in parking policies. So we wanted to make sure to flag that the residential parking rezoning bill that Councilmember Pinto and Henderson have proposed will have a hearing on Friday, October 28th. I'll post information about the bill and instructions on how to sign up and testify at the hearing in the chat. The bill currently would resize RPP zones to align with the ANC boundaries, but we do anticipate some changes as this bill moves through the hearing process. And we also really want to make sure that we're expressing how much we really value public input and for the public to be aware of these potential changes. The Council's legislative recess officially ends this week on Thursday, September 15th, with the next legislative meeting scheduled for Tuesday, September 20th. So we're rolling right back in. And finally, just as a note, the Council switched domains this week from .us to .gov. So please make sure to note those changes, and that'll impact all websites and emails, and potentially some of the links that I'm sending to you now. So they should all redirect and all emails should still get forwarded to our new emails. But just for awareness, if you start to notice some lack of response or bounce backs. That's it for now. I will share those links in the chat and happy to answer any questions.
Great. Thank you very much for those. And with global warming, I'm hoping that October 1st is a lot better for that bike ride. Question regarding the residential parking. Has there been any, in the bill, has there been any adjustment for ANC 2C, the downtown business core, to have residential parking?
I personally cannot answer a ton of specifics about this bill, but again, the way that this bill functions is to recreate the parking zones to ANC boundaries. So as far as that is concerned, it will hold all of 2C as the residential area. And then for outside of your ANC, you would then have those 2-hour limits. Does that somewhat answer your question?
It does answer the question. I guess that we have not been privy to have the privilege of having residential parking in ANC 2C in the downtown corridor, just because that has been excluded from our, they have excluded that from the downtown parking area. And if we are going to be redoing the parking, residential parking zones, then we would hope that Councilmember Pinto would include residential parking permits in 2C. So
I can definitely check in on this to make sure that there aren't any discrepancies between the ANCs. But again, my understanding is that if you live in ANC 2C, you will be able to park round the clock in your own neighborhood.
Got it. That would be great if that is in the bill, and that can be corrected because it is a disparity that happens. Commissioner Nelson, do you have any questions?
No, thank you.
Got it. I have one hand from Howard Marks.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman Schenkel. I have a question for the Brooke Pinto's representative. Very brief, more than a comment. You know, there was an editorial in the Washington Post on Sunday about the crime wave that swept the district. And very much so, Commissioner Schenkel was quoted extensively in that editorial. And one of the issues that is very troublesome to us in Chinatown is metro fare evasion. The Chinatown Gallery Place station is listed by Metro as the #1 place where offenses occur. This is costing overall $25 million a year to Metro riders. And Randy Clark, the new Metro general manager, has made reversal of this evasion one of his top priorities. The Washington Post tells me there'll be a letter that I wrote on the issue that will be published very soon on the editorial page. I'm wanting to alert Council Member Pinto that this is a very serious issue. In 2018, given, I think, very poor advice, the council voted to decriminalize metro fare evasion. The result is just total chaos in our stations, all sorts of criminal behavior that spills into Chinatown. These are people who are evading fares. They don't live in Ward 2. They do not live in Ward 2. They come from outside of the ward. They are causing all sorts of problems with the drugs and with other issues. So I would like to alert her, and I would like her to sit down with her, and maybe she should sit down with the new superintendent Clark, and discuss this issue and other issues with him. He's eager to meet with public officials. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Howard.
I'll be sure to share those concerns with Councilmember Pinto, and I know that we also hope to be able to meet with Superintendent Clark soon as well. If you have any other concerns, always reach out to our office.
Got it. And I know that there is, do you have any updates on the Pat Handy shelter, the legacy site and its construction?
As far as I know, there have not been any updates, but again, I can check in and see if there's something more to report.
Got it. And I would really like Mr. Cherry, and if you could too, Victoria, from Councilmember Pinto's office to come to these meetings with the understanding that this has been an ongoing concern for many residents, and that we really want to have updates regularly about this, because GDS has been playing, and DHS, as far as I'm concerned, has been playing tremendous games with us, and it has been unacceptable. So we want updates at these meetings. And I will be inviting DHS and GDS to our next meeting as well for an update on that, because the community deserves to have that. We have one more hand before we need to move on, and that is Doug O'Connor.
Good evening. Thanks for being here. My question is, I would just like to hear, what is Brooke Pinto's office doing about the continued crime, open narcotics trade, public sanitation like defecation, urination, and homeless problems that we've been experiencing in an acute way in our neighborhood for the past 2.5 years? I'd just like to hear what actions that Ms. Pinto's office is tracking and how they plan to address these things in the near term and long term. Thank you.
So our office certainly takes a very whole of government approach in addressing these issues, particularly with homelessness. I know that we've been working really, really closely with DMHHS to make sure that we're coordinating efforts when we are closing down specific encampment sites. And that also requires coordination with NPS because they, depending on the location, have jurisdiction over the land. And so our office is very involved to try and make sure that efforts with the DC government are also coordinating with federal NPS actions. And regarding crime concerns, we're also speaking regularly with MPD to get updates and also hear resident concerns, and are focusing a lot with our FY23 budget, and also going forward with after school programming, and making sure that we're not just looking at the results, but also at the start of the pipeline for kids in schools and our families as well.
May I ask a follow-up question, please?
Yes, you may.
Thank you. So maybe I should amend my question. So what new action, because we've complained about this as an urgent and acute issue for years, and I don't mean to imply that nothing is being done, but I feel obliged to report to you that from the ground here, as from the resident level, and I'm on the HOA board of a building of about 30 units. We see and have experienced what seems to be zero action, zero care, like literally absolutely nothing from Ms. Pinto's office except a couple of remarks or lip service here and there. And this has been since the beginning of the pandemic, when the population of the handy shelter rolled over. So in that context, are there any new actions that you know of that her office is planning on presenting that target the immediate things, not just continued working with various offices, but targeted something that my residents can hang on to? It is so bad and has gone on so long that for me, it will become a single issue vote in who I vote for. And I believe that is the same for many of the people that that live where I do and that share these issues. Thank you.
Obviously, these issues are very complex and not one solution can necessarily change everything, but I can also assure you that this is something that our office is very focused on, especially this fall, as we all are always taken aback whenever there are these frequent incidents with homicides and otherwise. So I know that we're also trying to meet up with certain 1D, 2D, and 3D commanders over the fall to really get a good look on the ground of what's going on, ways that we can help, and particular pinch points where we can also focus resources in the future as we are already getting into FY24 budget season. I think that these issues always have a lot of different ways that we can address them, and that includes the interpersonal, and then also making sure that we're looking at policy to address these issues.
Okay, thank you very much for that. We are going to move forward this evening with Declan Falls, Community Outreach Specialist for Chairman Mendelson's office.
Yep. Hey, thanks so much.
How you doing?
Having me. My name is Declan. I work in Chairman Mendelson's office as a part of his constituent services team. I will put all of my contact info, my email and phone number in the chat as soon as I'm finished with this, but please feel free to reach out if there's anything our constituent services team can help with, or if you have any questions or comments for the chairman's office. I'm always happy to pass those along to him. So I'll put my contact info in the chat for you. Just a couple of updates. As Victoria already said, the council is currently in recess, but the recess is coming to an end shortly. The committee of the whole, which Chairman Mendelson chairs, currently has around 15 hearings scheduled for this fall. And one of the chairman's big focuses at the moment is on education. So this Friday, he's holding a hearing on the Schools First and Budgeting Act with the goal of stabilizing school budgets going forward. If you're interested in that act or that hearing, you can read and learn more about it on his website, chairmanmendelson.com. The chairman also asked me to mention that last year, the council passed the Paid Parity Act, which distributes funds to early childhood educators, and educators are currently eligible for a payment of up to $14,000. So that program, that eligibility, I believe is only open for another week or so. So if you are an early childhood educator, if you have friends or family who are, please let them know that that program's only open for about another week. So I will put a link in the comments where you can go check and see if you're eligible for that program. Those are my only updates at the moment, but again, I'll put all my contact info in the chat. I'm happy to answer questions if I'm able to, and thanks again for having me.
Sure, Declan, thank you. Thank you for being here and for your update. Chairman Mendelson has visited numerous buildings and residents in ANC 2C to have discussions regarding noise, sound issues. There has been bills that have been put forward to the council that he has failed to move forward. And we are hoping that he will consider bringing those up for discussion, because this is another ongoing issue where we have received tremendous lip service from the chairman, and he has done nothing, nothing to support the residents of ANC 2C with these matters. And it is completely unacceptable to have him come out and waste our time with his lip service when he is going to do nothing or promote a bill, or be afraid to promote a bill through council because he thinks that the bill is somehow racially motivated. These are issues that residents are experiencing, that businesses are experiencing, and he should observe the 7th Street corridor, where there are almost no businesses right now. A lot of those businesses failed during COVID, but a lot of them have moved because it is too loud for patrons to even be in their restaurants to have a meal, or be outside on the sidewalk, outside sidewalk areas, when you have people blasting music at you. And additionally, the violence that has been happening in 2C is additionally unacceptable. We need to have all of our elected leaders to be very visible on this matter and to be out front and addressing it. I think that, we get a lot of, we're working on this, we're coordinating, we're whatever, but where the rubber meets the road is on the street, in the community. And I haven't seen, nor have I heard from Council Member Mendelson about any of the issues that have occurred in our neighborhood. And this is problematic. So I want this to be a two-way street with him, because we have residents that are demanding action and are holding me accountable. And I'm going to hold both Councilmember Pinto and Chairman Mendelson accountable, because they have to be out in front of this, and we want answers. This Pat Handy shelter has gone on way too long, and is just another issue that we are experiencing. I hope you take this back to him, and I hope that we schedule a meeting where we can discuss these issues, because this is just really unacceptable. And I appreciate you being here, but he hasn't shown up. He hasn't shown up for the residents of ANC 2C. And that's problematic.
Sure. I'm sorry to hear that. And I've taken those notes down. I'm going to be happy to pass those on to him. And actually, it sounds like you would be interested in having him, if you'd be interested in having him attend one of these meetings, I can definitely also work with you to set that up so that he can talk directly with you in the community.
Absolutely. We would love that. I know that he does his meetups, but let's get him out on the street, and let's have a real discussion on what we are going to do with everybody about the crime, the violence, the guns, the drugs, the noise on our streets, and the fact that we have eroded the economic sustainability of our neighborhood because of COVID. And these are just major, major issues that we're tired of lip service. We want action. And if he can't do it, we need somebody who can do it and move these along. I'm sorry to be so blunt, but it's so frustrating when you have community members continuing to reach out to me month after month after year with the exact same issues, and council has failed to act. Thank you. I have Commissioner Nelson. Do you have any comments?
I think you said it all, and you said it very well. So thank you for elaborating on the issues in this neighborhood. And my hope is that, our representatives who are here tonight from Chairman Mendelson's office and Councilmember Pinto's office will take these concerns, very valid concerns and long-standing concerns, back to their respective representatives. So thank you, Michael.
Yeah. And we don't have to wait for a month to have a meeting. I'm happy to schedule a meeting anytime.
Sure.
For that. We have one other hand that's up, Doug O'Connor.
Hello. Thank you, Mr. Falls. One quick question. One of our neighborhood advocates, Mr. Ted Gong of the 1882 Foundation, had made mention of Main Street grants to help businesses improve their front facades, encouraging sort of walk-up traffic. I don't know much about this, but it seems like that would really target a lot of the improvement of some of the derelict buildings in the area, maybe cut down on some of the misuse of these abandoned or otherwise uncared for properties. And it seems that a lot of business owners and residents of Chinatown are not aware. I looked on the website. I didn't see anything for our area. Is there something like a Main Street grant for businesses in Chinatown? I know you mentioned some other programs that are perhaps related. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for that question. I apologize. I don't know offhand if there is one of those for Chinatown, but I would be happy to ask our staff. And if you could send me an email about it, I can follow up with you and let you know what I find out.
I'd be happy to.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here, Mr. Falls. We hope you, we appreciate you being here and hope that you will continue to provide updates from Councilmember Mendelson's office. I know you have a bunch of ANCs that you have to get to, but we would definitely welcome a monthly update from the council member's office until we have some of our issues resolved.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Sure. Thank you. I'd like to move forward with MPD 1. Is Captain Roth with us this evening, or someone from MPD 1?
Good evening, sir. Phil McHugh here.
Hi, Phil. Okay, great. Thank you, Phil.
Sure. Thank you for having me, and good evening to everyone. So I'd like to begin by talking briefly about probably the two most significant events that we experienced in the 1D Chinatown area since we last met, both of which occurred on Thursday, August the 25th. The first event was at approximately 8:15 p.m. There was a fatal shooting that occurred on the corner of 7th and I Street Northwest in front of the PNC Bank. Images of the suspect have been released publicly in that case, and we're still soliciting support from the community on helping close that case. A little over 2 hours later, at 10:40 p.m., while officers were still on the scene processing that murder scene, a shooting occurred a block away at 7th and H Northwest. And in that case, two victims were struck by gunfire, an adult female who was shot in the stomach and an adult male who was shot in the arm. Images of the suspect in this case have been released to the public. The investigation is progressing. We've received tremendous support from the community and responses to those images that have been put out. And I'm very confident that that case will soon close. With respect to what the crime data shows us, in August compared to July, we did see significant decreases across many of our crime categories. If you'll remember, during the first meeting we had where I sat in this seat, I discussed some of our efforts on motor vehicle thefts. So as a result of traffic enforcement addressing the double parked cars that we saw up there and reminding businesses of their role, vehicle thefts are down 27%. Similarly, our theft from auto initiative has worked as well. We're down 10% in that category, and overall thefts are down 8%. Our work continues on robberies. We are up 15% year to date in the area, but I believe that we have stemmed the tide and are starting to move in the right direction. So overall, I think, like I said, we're moving in the right direction, but we still have work to do. I also understand that even if the numbers tell us one thing, community feelings and your observations of the safety and the general disorder are equally important, though somewhat more difficult to quantify. I'll talk about this briefly, and then happy to answer any questions you have. So after the last meeting and conversations I've had with community members, we heard your concerns about quality of life issues and general disorder crimes in the area. And we dedicated supplemental resources, including our crime suppression team and mountain bike unit to do this proactive work while still maintaining those normal patrols that we require to answer your emergency calls. So those officers have been specifically tasked with targeting drug offenders and those contributing to the general disorder in the area. So in the first few days of this push, I had the team and I was up there with them issue warnings to those drinking in public, urinating in alleys. And we told them that we would be back tomorrow and the next day and the day after that, and we would begin making arrests. I'll say that some heeded our warning, but others must not have believed us because when we came back the next day, conditions remained similar and we began making arrests. So in the last week of August and the first week of September, we made over 25 arrests in the neighborhood for drug distribution, firearm possession, drinking in public, and urinating in public. I want to highlight that of the group arrested for drinking in public, though it is we'll say a low-level crime, many of them had pending violent crime cases. Some were wanted in DC Superior Court, and some were fugitives from as close as Virginia and as far away as Birmingham, Alabama. So while the Office of the Attorney General and U.S. Attorney's Office in some cases are deciding not to prosecute some of these disorderly offenses, I believe our efforts have been fruitful, and through consistency, I'm hopeful that we will continue to change behavior and the idea of what is acceptable in our community. So I will take any questions you have. I will just make a brief note that I am the district's watch commander right now, so I will have to jump off shortly, but I do appreciate being here and working with you guys on these issues.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant? Is it Lieutenant?
It is Lieutenant. Yes, sir.
So Lieutenant, I asked you that last time, and I apologize.
No, it's fine. I think I just told you to call me Phil.
Oh, Phil, yes. I appreciate your efforts, and I appreciate the statistics in getting those individuals that we're talking about here off the streets. And I know how time-consuming that is for your officers to have somebody bopped out in a few minutes or an hour or two afterwards. But this creates a pattern that we are not going to tolerate this in our community. And we appreciate your support from MPD in making that happen. And as we see, there were other cases that these individuals had that required them to be remanded probably or extradited back to their jurisdictions where these were.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hate to keep talking about the pandemic, right? Because, when do we stop talking about the effects of the pandemic? But I think it's real in some of these situations where the court put rules out there that we were not allowed to make arrests for misdemeanor bench warrants. So basically somebody could be arrested and for approximately 2 years just decide not to show up at court. And even if we would stop them, we would be told we're not allowed to make those arrests. So when we stop somebody in an alley for urinating and find out that they have 7 pending cases in DC Superior Court for misdemeanors, that says something, right? I also feel the need, if I may, just to reiterate and clarify a point that I made at the last meeting that I think may have been taken a bit out of context in the Post article that was referenced earlier, specifically that I or MPD don't have the tools or the capability to do this type of quality of life enforcement. What I said was that when the police show up at a scene, we have generally 2 options. I have a set of handcuffs on my belt and I have a phone on my belt to make referrals to other agencies for assistance and referrals for those other services. So with these supplemental resources up there, we can do this work, but we also do need other agencies and other parts of the system to play their part as well, and to take these issues seriously when we bring them cases and prosecute them to the fullest that they're able to.
Awesome. Thank you for the clarification on that. I appreciate that. And definitely heard you. Commissioner Nelson?
No questions from me. Thank you so much, Lieutenant McHugh. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you, ma'am.
Very much. Please keep up the good work.
We will. And if nobody else has any questions, I will have to go now.
Yes, please.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lieutenant Hamlin, I think I saw you on here from MPT2.
Yes, good evening to everyone. How are you?
Good. Well, most importantly, how are you and how's your house?
Well, I'm doing okay. For those of you who weren't on last time, about 2 months ago on the 12th of July, when our PSA meeting started, my house was hit by a very large tree. So, yeah, it's going to be about 6 months, about 200,000 to repair. So, it was a direct impact. But fortunately, none of us were in that part of the house, so none of us were injured. But we did have to move out because it is pretty bad. So, and then when we stayed in the hotel, like 2 days after we got there, somebody stole all of the rims and tires off of our cars from the parking lot overnight while we were sleeping. And that's a really big deal in this general area right now. So that's another issue that we had. But that was a few months ago. I am kind of back at work, but there is some other news that I have to share. And I am actually in the academy right now. Over the last year, I've been training and studying to be a captain, and I successfully completed everything. And I'm in the academy now for that training. And I should be getting that promotion this Friday. So I will be leaving 2D. I believe. You never know where you're going to end up. And if I end up at 1D, I could still end up doing these meetings with you guys. So I may see you again as a captain. But right now, I don't know where I'm going to go. And I don't know who's going to be replacing me, but I will certainly provide them with everybody's information, all of the meetings that I hold, and all the names and addresses and emails that I have, so that they can definitely stay in contact with you all. I like I said, I am at the academy this week, but I've been with you guys for a couple of years now, and I've really enjoyed working with you all. The community is great, and I really look forward to working with you all again in the future. I will miss you guys. I really enjoyed working at 2D. So, so I just want to, just kind of tell you all personally, that, I'm going to be promoted to captain. Hopefully, you never know. Last Friday's the day, but you never know. So, so I am very excited about the promotion, but like I said, it is kind of bittersweet. I will miss you guys a little bit. So, and then I guess before questions, I guess I'll just get into the crime and then we can go from there. It's just mainly property crime.
I just want to say congratulations. That's such a great accomplishment. And I just wanted to congratulate you.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. It takes about a year to achieve these promotions. And it's a lot of work. It's a long process. And it's a lot of stress. So it's nice when it works out for you. It doesn't always work out. Fortunately, for me it did. So so I am very excited. Yes. But again, it is bittersweet. I will miss you guys. So moving forward with the crime in 209, it's the property crime is still the main thing. The thefts mainly, and the theft from autos. The thefts are mainly from the businesses. So one of the things I've done to combat that particular issue is I've created, I asked our public information office to create a new flyer that deals with theft from businesses. And it's a flyer that we give to businesses that gives them ideas and things that they may be able to do to prevent theft of the business. So that is something we are working on. We did have one ADW back on the 15th. It was an ADW knife that was back on 15th and the 900 block of 10th Street. which is right there by City Center.
Mhm.
But that was the only part one crime we had involving a weapon. There was no death in that case. It was just just a call for service. So there was no fatality there. So, but that was the only call we had for violent crime. Everything else is about 60 property crimes over the last 30 days. So yeah, and that's been the theme for 209 for a while. Unfortunately, a few months ago, we did have, we had a few homicides a few months ago. That was partially on 2D, partially on 3D. But since then, we haven't had any issues. And I believe part of the reason we were able to kind of get rid of some of those problems is by shutting some of these pop-up parks down where people decide they're just going to stay. And I think, that it is important that we kind of pay attention to these parks when they, these tent sites, when they pop up. It is important we pay attention, but I do want to remind everybody, like, not every homeless person is a bad person, and don't, always be afraid to say hello to them if you're passing them on the street. They're not all bad. Some of them are good people, and it's just, unfortunately, it's a small group that make everyone else look bad. So I just want to remind everybody of that. But if you have any questions, please let me know. My email will not change as a captain. You can still email me with any concerns or questions you have, and I will still respond to you. And like I said, I don't know where I'm going. I may be back on this meeting next month. I have no idea. So,
well,
yeah.
Thank you so very much. And thank you for that very important reminder about our residents who are experiencing homelessness, which is something that we all should be very aware of. Definitely. Thank you for that. And thank you for your service. We appreciate you and all that you do.
Yes, you guys are very welcome. It was a pleasure serving you guys and working with you all. Very, very, very nice to do so. I really appreciate your all's time and effort, and just day to day, month to month. It's not just the police out there. It's you guys too. We can't do it by ourselves, and it really helps to have the support from you guys. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Commissioner Nelson, do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions, but congratulations, Captain-elect Hamlin. That's a huge accomplishment. So congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Take care. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
We will now move forward with a presentation from the Office of Human Rights. Do we have interim director on?
Yes, good evening. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, definitely can hear you. I'm sorry, I'm not going to pronounce your last name. How do you pronounce it?
Yes, I will share.
Okay, good.
My name is Min Kine. The H is silent.
Yep.
It's kind. I always say like a kind person. So if you remember that, and I'm told I'm fairly kind. So that's a good way of remembering it. I see some friendly faces on the call. So again, I'll say officially good evening and thank you for having me. And I also am joined by my colleague, Asian Brown. Asian is on screen. I don't know if you can see him, but he is our training and communication outreach specialist.
Good evening.
So again, thank you for having us. I didn't realize our presentation was to be 10 minutes, but that works for today because my time is a little short tonight. And so it does work. So I'm going to give you a very, very, very abbreviated version of what we normally do when we do trainings. But hopefully, if you enjoy this and find the information useful, we'll be invited back. And so we can do an update on all that OHR, the Office of Human Rights, is doing, as well as give you some very interesting legislative updates that are coming down the pike. So we can do that next time, but think of this one as just a brief primer, if you will. All right, so let me see if I can get the show on the road and share my screen. Bear with me as I am not as good with navigating through Zoom as I am with Teams, but let's see if I can do it. I think this is it. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Perfect. I'm going to move through this title slide here. I think I'm at the end, pardon me. Let me go back to the beginning. Sorry about that. All right. So again, my name is Nin Kine, and I'm joined by Asian Brown. So some of you may already may be very familiar with or somewhat familiar with our office, but the DC Office of Human Rights has a pretty awesome and important mission, and that is to eradicate discrimination, increase equal opportunity, and protect civil rights through enforcement. So how exactly do we achieve our mission? And that part can be a little bit mysterious to folks. So I am grateful for the opportunity this evening to speak to you and the residents. So we do that through three ways. We adjudicate complaints of discrimination. We prosecute cases where we find probable cause. We prosecute those cases in front of the Commission on Human Rights. And then we provide educational information. We educate the community, both individuals as well as businesses, and Asian and his team are a big part of that process. So what areas do we cover with respect to our work? So we cover laws that relate to employment discrimination, discrimination in housing, discrimination that one might experience in public accommodation, so like restaurants, hotels, that kind of thing, bars, as well as government services. We also would cover and adjudicate complaints regarding discrimination in educational institutions, so schools, colleges, that kind of thing. All right. So our jurisdiction is pretty broad. It covers private sector as well as government, but we don't have coverage over federal government, even though we're the nation's capital, right? And there are lots of federal government buildings and employers and that sort of thing. We unfortunately don't have jurisdiction over the federal government. We also don't have jurisdiction over Metro WMATA. We also don't have jurisdiction over the courts, the DC courts. Other than that, everything else we have coverage over. So what exactly are we talking about when we say enforcement of laws at OHR? So we have a number of them, and I know time is limited, and so I've just selected some of the local laws that we enforce. The biggest one of which, of course, is the DC Human Rights Act of 1977. And then you'll see that on your screen here, we have DC FMLA, which some of you may be familiar with. Some of the less known ones are our Unemployment Anti-Discrimination Act, which means that a person can't be discriminated against for employment opportunities because they happen to be unemployed at the time of the application. We also have very robust piece of laws on protecting our pregnant workers in the workplace. We also have Fair Criminal Record Screening Amendment Act, which you all may be familiar with as being called Ban the Box in employment. And that has been extended to housing back in 2016. So now we also have criminal background protections in the housing realm. And so the list goes on. The newest ones are the Universal Paid Leave Act, which requires private employers to pay for certain family leave that employees may take. So we don't deal with the administrative portion of that. If something happened with the idea of having to get paid and you didn't get paid, OHR wouldn't handle that. DOES would, the Department of Employment Services. But what OHR does have jurisdiction over is what's called interference or retaliation. So if you didn't get paid through the Universal Paid Leave Act because you took family leave or qualified leave under that and you were retaliated against, or somehow the payment for that leave was interfered with, then OHR would have jurisdiction. The last one that you see on your screen is called Tipped Wage Workers Fairness Amendment Act. And that one may be very pertinent and interesting for this division of community in DC, because for pertinent parts for OHR, that requires businesses who are in the tipped wage industry to provide sexual harassment training for its employees, its managers, its operators, its managers, everyone. And so OHR is charged with developing a training program and certifying trainers. We're not doing direct trainings, but we are certifying trainers to assist businesses in deploying this training requirement. And there's other compliance pieces I won't talk about today in the interest of time, but if you want more information, contact Asian. He will drop his information in the chat. The other piece that's not on this particular slide, but I want to share with you that's similar to this tip wage and sexual harassment training is that OHR is similarly charged with providing or creating a training program for long-term care facilities to help our senior residents. And so the law says that we should help trainers get certified to provide training on anti-discrimination laws in the district, particularly in long-term care facilities, particularly with the focus on our LGBTQ HIV plus seniors. So that's a big one that's rolling out. So if you or your constituents, your residents, colleagues, friends are interested in those trainings, please reach out to us. I can tell you the certifying training for the sexual harassment training for the tip wage industry, there is another one this Thursday. This Thursday afternoon, there will be a training on that. So I'm going to move along here with additional laws that OHR enforces. So on top of those local laws, and again, remember that was just a select number of laws that I shared, there's more. We also help to enforce federal laws, and these are listed here, and we're happy to share the slides with you in the chat when I'm done so that you can peruse through it at your leisure. There are 21 protected traits under the Human Rights Act. What does that mean? That means that there are 21 protected traits for which one cannot be discriminated against. Anyone want to guess how many there are under federal law? 7. Commissioner Schenkel, if I were doing this training, you would get all the prizes that I would bring. Yes, that is fairly accurate, 7 or 8. Depending on what you count. And so in DC, we have 21. So that's a huge distinction, which is why, yes, that deserves an applause, which is why, and it's going to be 23 at least coming up in FY23, coming up in October with the addition of homelessness and eviction record sealing as a protected trait. So again, all the reasons why we should come back, maybe, but these are the 21 protected traits in DC. So now that I've talked a little bit about the laws, I want to just go through the process, which is really, really important to share and understand for our communities. And so again, we are a government neutral agency that adjudicates complaints of discrimination. So how does that happen? So if you could file a complaint, you could file a complaint on behalf of someone else. Nonprofit organizations, advocacy groups can file a complaint at our office. Anyone can file a complaint at our office. Once they do, we'll do an intake interview with the complainant or the filer to get more information. If it states a claim under our laws and we have jurisdiction, we'll docket what's called a formal charge of discrimination. And that charge then goes through a mandatory mediation to see if we can't resolve the dispute or the issues at the early stage of this process. And if it can't, then it goes through a full investigation where we will obtain all of the facts necessary to make a probable cause determination as to whether or not there was a violation of the law. Now that's stage 1, probable cause determination. So if at the end of our investigation, there is probable cause determination, there's probable cause to believe discrimination or a violation may have occurred, then that case is going to get certified for a public hearing before administrative law judges who serve to support the Commission on Human Rights. So I know, again, this is a lot. This is why I think, we maybe want to come back at a later time to answer any follow-up questions you might have. But returning to the process, once it goes to the hearing process, then the commissioners for the Commission on Human Rights would convene to see whether or not they agree with the proposed decisions forwarded to them by the ALJs. And then that's the final decision. So it is a long process, but it is a thorough process, and you don't need an attorney to file at OHR. Unlike going to courts, coming to OHR, we do all the legwork of finding the information. That's why we have investigators. Whereas when you're going to court, you might need a lawyer to present your case in court. Whereas with OHR, you don't need to present your case in court as much as tell us what happened, tell us all the facts you have, and we will have our investigators dig deeper and figure out what there is and figure out whether or not there's probable cause. And if there is, like I said, there'll be a full-blown hearing on the merits in front of an ALJ. Speaking, I'm sorry, I passed on one more thing in the previous slide. So in addition to the OHR process, we wanted to share with you a little bit about the special equity programs that exist at OHR. So what I just spoke to you about is our enforcement arm. The other ones are what we call equity and compliance. So we have the language access program, which you might be familiar with. We also have our youth bullying prevention program. And then we have our new program called Creating Safer Spaces program. And that is the unit that is responsible for that sexual harassment training in the tip wage industry that I mentioned earlier, and as well as the anti-discrimination training in the long-term care facilities. So again, reach out to us if you or your colleagues or constituents are interested in becoming a certified trainer through OHR. Okay, so speaking of language access, hopefully commissioners here are aware of this program, but with ANC's, the Advisory Neighborhood Commission's Omnibus Act of 2016, OHR can now reimburse you ANCs for any translation and interpretation services that you may want to provide for your constituents. And so this includes verbal communication, translation of written materials, or assistive listening devices or mechanisms. And so again, reach out to us if you have any questions about that. Again, Asian is going to stand by, and I think I do have to go after this presentation, but I think he'll hang around for 10 minutes or so if you all have questions. I think that brings it to the end. Again, we're here to increase understanding, reduce prejudice and discrimination. And in the words of, I think it was Lieutenant becoming Captain Emlyn, in his words, I agree with him entirely. We can't do this alone. I've said this in all of my testimonies. It is a community effort. And so I look to you all as ANC commissioners and residents to help us achieve our mission. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director Kinder. Appreciate that very much. Great presentation. And you did have the full 20 minutes, just to let you know. Your office arranged that in advance. So, but thank you for being short, and we'd love to have you back sometime.
Of course, anytime. I know how long meetings can be for everyone, and so I want to be respectful of that and wanted to try to get through as much as possible. Asian, did you want to say anything?
Oh, that was fantastic. Thank you all for inviting us. And again, if you have any questions, I'll stick around to answer any that you may have.
Terrific. Are there any, Commissioner Nelson, any questions?
No questions from me. Thank you.
Any community questions? Okay. Asian, thank you very much for being here as well. And if you have additional questions or have questions, Asian will stick around for a bit and be able to answer those. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, you can put any additional questions in the chat.
And I dropped my information in the chat. So if you think of anything later on, if you want to shoot me an email or give me a call, please feel free to do so.
We would appreciate that very much. Thank you. All right, we're going to move forward this evening with local events that impact the community. We have the National Veterans Day Parade on Sunday, November 13th, 2022. Do we have anybody representing the Veterans Parade? Okay. I just wanted to, Commissioner Nelson, this is, I thought I had somebody here representing them.
Yeah, I thought they would be here too.
Let's see here. Don't see them. I will just quickly demonstrate.
Oh, you know what, Michael? They actually said that they would be coming in October.
Oh, they'd be coming in October. I see. I'm sorry. Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
No problem.
I didn't see that. Next on our agenda is the Chinese Lunar New Year Parade of 2023, which is going to happen on Sunday, January 22nd of 2023. We have Rita Lee. I saw you here And Dr. Wang is here as well with us this evening to present that. Welcome. I think you may be on mute.
You hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. That
Okay,
infamous
all right.
mute button.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name's Rita Lee. I'm the vice chair of the CCBA Parade Committee. I have joined me as the chair of the Parade Committee, Dr. Wang. And we are very pleased and to presenting to you. The day will be the parade next year's January the 22nd, 2023. And this event will celebrate the start of the year 4720, the year of the rabbit. Okay, as you all know, the rabbit is symbolizing the peaceful, friendly, kind, and gentle. And for the past 40 years in DC, the CCBA always celebrate Chinese Lunar New Year with the local of the bands and high school and all the association. This will attract a lot of tourists and also the attendee of the local resident and the tourists from the other city. Expected number because pandemic, probably the attendee, we figure out that probably the 20,000 maybe less than this year. For the past many years, like 30,000, the year the dragon have cost, I think it's attract about 50,000 people, the tourists and the local, the attendee. And we already do the presentation at the Homeland Security. And we are very appreciative for all the support from the DC government, the ANC, the local community. I think we will continue to have our cultural event, and not only for the Chinese community, it's for all the community. We're all in one, and everybody join this to celebrate the years of the rabbit. So we have the route and the details already submit to the ANC. You all know the assembly time is 1 o'clock the afternoon, and will be finished and cleaned by 5 o'clock p.m. So total is a 4 hour. And the route is as usual for the past 40 years, hasn't been changed. Just beginning from 6th Street and I Street, left on 8th Street and G Street, left on 7th Street and H Street, and with 6th Street in front of the arch. So we're gonna have a ceremony. The mayor and all the guests, everybody will be tense. So I hope the community ANC will be approved. We are request for the next year. It's about time. 3 years we haven't had the parade. Thank you.
I know.
Yeah.
We need to have this parade.
Yeah.
Definitely that during COVID.
Yeah.
But it's following the same path as it normally does. And is this the 40th year?
Yeah, I mean, past 40 years. Actually,
40
we do
years.
more than 40 years.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Got it. Commissioner Nelson, do you have any questions?
No, thank you so much, Ms. Lee, for your presentation. We appreciate it.
Are there any community questions? Seeing none, I would like to move that the ANC send a letter of support supporting the Chinese Lunar New Year parade for 2023 on Sunday, January 22nd, 2023.
Second.
All those in favor? So 2 of 2 commissioners voting in favor of that. We will get that letter off. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you
Let us know
everyone.
how we can help promote and things like that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Good night. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Rita.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Next on our agenda is the Children's National Hospital 5K, the Children's National Hospital System's Race for Every Child on Saturday, October 15th. Mr. George Banker.
Hi, good evening, commissioners.
Hi,
I'd like to hello. I'd like to thank you for allowing me to present again. We haven't had this event. The last one was 2019, so we're excited to come back. As you mentioned, the Children's National Hospital is the sponsor of it, and it's primarily to help to increase awareness of the services provided to the local community and the families. The main staging area is going to be located at Freedom Plaza. That's where everything is going to be set up. And the actual date is going to be October the 15th, with the setup going to be that Friday night, primarily taking place there. There's going to be overnight security. There's the usual coordination with the Park Police, Park Service, MPD, the Children's National Hospital. They're going to be providing the medical support along with DC Fire and EMS and Georgetown Medical Services. The actual race itself, well, actually, it's a run and walk. We're looking to have about 5,000 participants. That includes the families and the children. Some are walking, some are pulling their kids in wagons. And we have 300 volunteers supporting that. The actual event would take off at 8:45, and we clear the streets at 10. Everything will close down by 11 o'clock on Saturday. And we're going to be having a street sweeper going over the entire route, which goes basically from between 11th and 13th down the 3rd over to D, and it's an out and back course. And usually, I'm out there. Usually, I can't speak the next day because I'm talking to everybody who's out there. But we've had the outstanding support in the past. To my knowledge, there hasn't been any incidents, and we partner with the Marriott as well. So we have their support to make sure we're not impacting them as well. I could talk on, but given the limited amount of time, I think I'm within my limits. So pending any questions that you may have.
I think this is a great event. I'm glad to see it coming back. And thank you for being here. Commissioner Nelson, do you have any questions?
None from me, thanks.
George, did you say how many people you were anticipating? I don't remember.
5,000.
5,000, gotcha. Any community questions? I would like to move that we send a letter of support for the Children's National Hospital 5K.
Second.
All those in favor? 2 of 2 commissioners voting in favor. We'll get that off for you. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, and all of the community as well. It's definitely appreciated.
Yeah, it's great seeing you.
Great being seen.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, have a good evening.
You too.
All right.
We'll move now to the More Than Pink Walk, the Susan G. Komen Foundation on Sunday, October 18th. Right around the corner is Lisa Brooks here with us. Hi, Lisa.
Hello, how are you all?
I'm well, thank you.
I wish it was good afternoon. Good evening, commissioners. And I went ahead and shared my screen. So I'm Lisa Brooks, the event director for the Susan G. Komen More Than Pink Walk in DC. This is my first year directing this event. So I do apologize with my tardiness. I wish I could have been at your July meeting, but like you said, the event is this Sunday. And I feel like I'm going to sound like a broken record to George because we're pretty much doing a lot of the same thing. We are starting at Freedom Plaza with our setup. The setup will happen this Saturday. Road closures will begin at midnight around Freedom Plaza. And then the route will be closed for about 2 hours. And the route will be from Pennsylvania Avenue down to 3rd, down to Independence, a U-turn, and then out and back to the Freedom Plaza. Just kind of going back to our schedule on Sunday, we anticipate about 2,000 to 3,000 participants, 200 volunteers. They'll be arriving around 7 a.m. Again, the street closures for the course will start around 8:30. Our route will open for our walkers around 9, and then we're anticipating all the road closures to end around 11:30 a.m. And then this road closures around Freedom Plaza ending ideally earlier than 5, but hopefully 3 o'clock for that portion. We have support with MPS, MPD, Mayor's Office, the Fire, and GW Medical doing our medical services.
Awesome. That's terrific. Commissioner Nelson?
And no questions for me. Thank you so much, Ms. Brooks.
Yes, thank you for being here. Another great event. Welcome to the fun of community events in DC and doing this event. I would like to move that we send a letter of support for the More Than Pink Walk for this Sunday.
Oh,
Okay.
second.
All those in favor? 2 of 2 commissioners voting in favor. We'll get that letter off for you this week and copy you on that.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Next on our agenda is the 2023 Holiday Market by Michael Berman.
Hi.
Hi, Michael. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Awesome.
Happy to be here tonight. Thank you for having me, getting me on your agenda. To tell you that we are once again preparing for the Downtown Holiday Market, which is, I think, probably Michael's favorite event downtown. I hope.
It is.
So for the 2022 Downtown Holiday Market, this is our 18th year, and we will be operating in the same figuration as we've done in previous years, which means we close F Street between 7th and 9th, and we also close A Street between E and F, and we have vending on the street, and we have some food items, and we have a stage in front of the portrait gallery. And this year we intend to operate for 34 days, and it would open on November 18th, which is a Friday, and we would run continuously through December 23rd. We would be only closed on Thanksgiving Day and Monday, December 5th. It would be from 12 to 8 every day, which is the same hours as we've always done. And we would plan to close the street a week earlier on Friday, November 11th, in order to start the build out. The Fresh Farm Farmers Market operates that Thursday, the 10th, and then 1 week after us. After that, on the 17th, that would be their last week, and we will accommodate them for that day.
Got it. That's great. It is, Mike. It is one of my favorite events of the year, and I do a lot of holiday shopping there, so I love it, and donuts too.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to mention, I need to go back to just say, my company, Diverse Markets Management, we operate the event, we produce the event, but our partner is the Downtown DC Business Improvement District, and they are our sponsor and the permit applicant. So it's in their name, but I'm the guy that you want to find if you have a question or a concern about.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Commissioner Nelson?
No questions from me. Definitely looking forward to the holiday market this year.
And any community members have questions? Then I would love to move that we send a letter of support for the 2023 holiday market.
Second.
All those in favor? 2 of 3 voting in favor. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it so much.
For you.
Looking forward to seeing you guys.
Awesome. See you soon. Okay, we'll move on to our Abra license. The first license is Lagrange Portiere at 699 14th Street, a new retailer's Class C restaurant license. Abra 122175. Anybody? Matt, how are you?
Doing well, Commissioner. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Excellent.
You have 3 here tonight in this
brand
new building.
All the same location. They're in the old bank building, and there's 3 different concepts of 3 different ABC licenses, 2 of which are on the first floor, and the second, the first one we're going to talk about has the summer garden on the first floor, and then it's the second floor and the mezzanine levels. But we'll go through each one of them in time. But just they're all within the same location. So the first one is La Grande Boucherie, and it's going to be a French brasserie style restaurant with a total occupancy load of 600 inside with 450 seats. And that also includes the 25-seat summer garden that's outdoor seating in the front of the establishment. And there's going to also be an alcohol and carryout endorsement with this. There's no entertainment endorsements associated with the inside or outside of this. And the hours we're seeking for the overall operations are 10 a.m. to 3 a.m. daily. And for alcohol consumption, it'd be 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. during the week and 10 a.m. to 3 a.m. on the weekends. And that's for both inside and outside. And I know it's a bit later than usual, but it's given the remoteness of it from residences and the other licensed establishments nearby that have similar hours, we're hoping the ANC can be supportive of these as well.
Mhm. Absolutely. I think there's no residences around there. I did have a question. I know this is not up for approval right now, but where is the summer garden going? Is it going on the 14th Street side, or is it going on the G Street side?
I believe here. Let me bring those up real quickly. There's. And again, I'm not an architect, so I'm not totally sure what the plans, but I believe it's going on the 14th Street side.
Okay.
And it's about, there's 3 seats sort of in rows. Actually, it's a 2 top and a 1 top that sort of just goes all the way through. So there's not much space to it.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I was out there looking at this location, and I was concerned that I know they have a Capital bike share in front, and I wasn't sure how they were going to fit that, but it's a small footprint, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's very narrow. It's long, but it's narrow.
Got it. Terrific. Commissioner Nelson?
No questions from me.
Any community members have questions? All right. Do you want to take this one, Gigi, or you want me to do it?
Sure. So need a motion or to send a letter of support this is for the alcoholic, this is for the license, right? Okay, I'm looking at the wrong thing on my paper. Okay, so so for this, we just need, it is a letter of support though, right?
Yes.
Okay, so move to send a letter of support for La Grande Boucherie.
So I'll second that.
All right,
all in favor? 2 of 2 commissioners voting in favor. We'll get that off to you. And do you need a stipulated or anything?
No, this won't be open for quite a while.
Okay. Oh, that building looks really super beautiful. So
yeah,
we can't wait to see it.
It's not going to be exactly the same, but it'll be similar. They do have locations for each of these 3 in New York, and they're really gorgeous on the inside.
Oh, great.
Looking forward to that space getting activated again.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, and next up you have Washoku.
That's as good a pronunciation as I could do. So we'll go with that one. And this is the smaller Japanese concept located on the first floor. There's no outdoor seating. It's a smaller establishment, just a 50 occupancy load and 35 seats. And it'll have the same hours as La Grande Boucherie. That's 10 a.m. to 3 a.m. For operations, and 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. during the week for alcohol sales, and 10 a.m. to 3 a.m. on the weekend for alcohol sales.
And this has no outside area.
Correct. This one does not have an outdoor or an outside seating at all.
Got it. Any concerns, Commissioner?
None.
I have none either. Any community concerns? Then I move that we send a letter of support for Washoku Room at 699 14th Street.
Second.
All those in favor? 2 of 2 voting in favor. All right. And then it's Olio.
Yes. So this is the Italian concept going in there. It's also on the ground floor. It's the larger portion of the ground floor. It's got 225 seats inside and 30 seats on the outside on the ground floor for a total occupancy load of 250. Excuse me. The total occupancy load, we updated that. It was a bad thing in the math. I think the total occupancy load ends up jumping to 275 because 30 plus the 225 actually gets you over 250. This is a typo in the placards. It'll be about 275 in total. And the same hours as the last 2 applications. And this is just the fine dining Italian inspired concept.
And is the outside on the roof?
All on the ground floor.
Oh, on the ground floor. Okay, got it. I have no concerns, Commissioner Nelson.
Just really quick, what did you say the seating capacity for this space is?
So the seating is 225 on the inside and 30 on the outside, but the occupancy load, seating and standing, I forgot there is an error in the placards, and I believe, it's a total of 280 with seating and standing, inside and outside combined.
Okay, all right, that was the only thing I had. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions or concerns?
None.
Okay. Any community members? Then I move that we send a letter of support for Olio at 699 14th Street.
Second.
All in favor? 2 of 2 commissioners voting in favor. Okay, thanks. Thank you, Matt. We appreciate you.
Appreciate the support.
Definitely. Next on our list is Rice Bar Marketplace at 801 Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest for a retailer's Class D restaurant license. This is Abra 122151. And is Chrissy Chang here? Hi, Chrissy. How are you?
Yes, how are you? Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Please?
we can hear you fine.
On behalf of the applicant Rice Bar Marketplace Inc. There's a store manager. Here's a store manager, Mr. Stephen Shin, to present the application. Mr. Shin.
Thank you, Mr. Schenker. Good evening, everyone. My name is Stefan Shen, and I'm general manager of the Rice Bar, 801 Pennsylvania Avenue. I'm in charge of the daily operation in here. Actually, we opened August 2021. It's been about 1 year right now, and Class D restaurants. We have about 40 sittings in dining, and we don't have in outside dining, and we serve Korean food. Is like that cafeteria styling. The opening hour is 11 a.m. till 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and we close Sunday. Some of our customers ask about some kind of casual beer, so we just apply for the beer and wine license for this time. And we don't have any bar inside here. And we don't want to extend our opening hour until we just close 7 p.m. So those are brief our information, and then we need the understanding for warm support for this running for our restaurants here. That's pretty much all here.
And in addition, on behalf of the applicant, I would like to ask for your support letter for stipulated license, please.
Stipulated license. Gotcha. Awesome. This is a really thank you so much for activating this portion of the block down there across from the FBI building. We really I think that's awesome that you're there and doing that. I have no questions or concerns, Commissioner Nelson.
None here. I've been there, and it's really nice. So yeah, it's nice that that part of the block is activated now.
Thank you so much.
Perfect. I'd like to move that we send a letter of support for Rice Bar Marketplace Inc. at 801 Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest, and include a support for a stipulated license.
Right. Okay. Second.
And all those in favor? 2 of 2 voting in favor of that. So we will get that letter off. When are you looking to launch? As soon as you get my letter?
Yes, as soon as the stipulated license is issued.
Got it. Okay, I will get that letter off in the next day or 2.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. And I will copy you on that letter.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Now we'll move to transportation and public space. We have the 9th Street Protected Bike Lane project. And Mike Goodnow?
Hi, Commissioner Schenkel. This is George Brandon. I have a team here. Myself, we got Mike Goodnow and Donovan Boyd, our community engagement specialist as well.
Got it. Sorry about that.
That's all right. Good to see you.
Good seeing you as well. All right, we're excited about this 9th Street Bike Lane.
Yeah, thank you. So are we. It's great to be here. Thank you for having us. The short message to start off with is that we issued the NOI in I think the 11th of August, and it closes on the 22nd of September. this was just a tad faster than we initially had thought we would issue the NOI. We thought it might be a little bit later in the fall, but it looks like the division that is constructing this particular bike lane has found space in its construction schedule, and we'll be constructing it this fall, starting in the very beginning of October. So we needed to get the NOI out. We had nearly final plans, and so we are now going to each of the 4 ANCs on the corridor and presenting the plan, the latest plan. So there are a few fine-tuning changes, but and also just going to review what the project looks like. Talk a bit about the things we've accommodated and dealt with over the last few months as we brought the plans to near completion. So I will share my screen. If I can do that, let me see here. Share screen. All right. Are you all?
Yes, I can see you.
All right. Let me
standard view there.
get it to slideshow. All right. It's up there somewhere. I can't get to it. There's a little border at the top. Hang on. Huh. Sorry, I'm having a little trouble with the can't get that little border at the top to go away, so I can click on start the slideshow.
Oh no.
Unless there's another button that I'm not aware of. This is very
Hey, George, this is Donovan. If you right click one of the slides on the left up, okay.
I think I figured it out.
Perfect.
I figured it out. Now, the other thing is I want to change, there's a way to change this. I'm just not remembering very well how this works. There's a way to switch the screen. Are you seeing the full page, or are you seeing the?
I'm seeing the speaker's notes.
Right. Yeah, that's the problem. Mike, do you remember how we fixed this at the last ANC meeting? I
think it might be one of the buttons underneath the presentation.
Oh, that was it. Yes.
Let's see. Trying the other. Yeah. Or what about display settings up at the top in the middle? Yep.
I don't even see display settings.
Oh, you don't see it up? There's a.
It's closer to the top of your screen.
Yeah. A bit further up. Yep. And then the next one over.
That one.
Try clicking on that and see if you have an option.
There we are. Swap. There we go.
There you go.
That's it. Boy.
Wow, I've learned something here tonight. This is awesome.
All right. So we are going around to the different ANCs, and you're the third of the 4, and showing this particular set of slides, which is a lot of background. I don't know if I'd shown you all this picture I found. I just thought it was fascinating. That's 9th Street in 1915, and I can make out about 6 bicycles in this photo, which I thought was fascinating. In addition to a horse-drawn carriage. It was very multimodal back then. So we went through the last several times we were there to talk about why bike lanes, a lot of benefits of safety, environmental and personal health, public health, and then of course why protected bike lanes, because this is what will get us to a situation where many more people try bicycling who haven't ever had a sense that they could do it safely. So this design user profiles for bicyclists here is something that's used across the country by bike planners and advocates to talk about, the guy on the right, which I admit is me some of the time, highly confident, I'll ride in the road, I'll stake my claim. But that's only about 4 to 7% of us are willing to do that. What we want is this group called interested but concerned, which is a large chunk of the population. And we're seeing more and more of those people come out when we build protected bike lanes. And more they're bringing their kids on stretch bikes, utility bikes, these Dutch bucket front bikes, trikes and bikes. I see them actually even in my neighborhood up in near Ward 4. But one of the other reasons is that the mayor has set out some sustainability goals, which we're supposed to meet by 2032, which is to try to get to 75% of all trips by walking, biking, or transit. Right now, it's about 50. So we have about 25%. We need to move trips, about 25% of trips from driving alone to those other modes. So this is one, not the only. Our bus priority program is very beefed up and going great guns, which is another part of it, as well as our pedestrian and sidewalk program. But this is one of the methods we're trying to do to get to that goal. The background was we had a pretty in-depth Eastern Downtown Protected Bike Lane feasibility study. This was a long list of all the things. The history of the project goes back to 2015. It was on hold, and then it was taken off hold by the mayor. And we began last year starting to revive it and get back out and pick up where we had left off. Just to refresh everyone's memory, north of Mount Vernon Square, where it's 9th Street is a two-way street with 4 lanes. It will change from 2 lanes in the northbound direction to 1 lane, move the parking lane out, and have the protected bike lane in between the parking and the curb. We will also have turn pockets at every place that turns are allowed, which is most of the intersections or where they happen, because if it's a one-way street, obviously there's not going to be left turns at some westbound streets. And that's an important safety feature. In your ANC's area, south of Mount Vernon Square, we, again, the same configuration, the parking is pushed out. And we are going to maintain during the peak hours 3 travel lanes by making the parking on the west side rush hour restricted. And then we are introducing turn pockets at all locations, intersections where turns are allowed. Again, this is an important safety feature. We do not, in our guidance, in our bike lane design guide, we do not allow left turns across a 2-way cycle track. It's simply too dangerous. So there will be arrow controls for the cars. The peds and bikes will go, then they will stop, and the cars will be able to turn left again. And that's safety for pedestrians and bicyclists, but also safety for drivers, because turn pockets reduce rear end and side swipe crashes. So there are a number of items that will improve vehicle and driver safety. We went through a lot of the key features and benefits, which I won't go into in detail. I will start here. These are the new plans, and again, these are not the color-coded ones that I had shown you all last time, but this is starting at Pennsylvania Avenue on the upper left. I'm going to point out a couple features that have been added over the months as we revised the plans. So we're adding a new bike share station right there at the bottom of the corridor where it meets Pennsylvania Avenue. We have markings to get you across so that you can take a right or left in the center running Pennsylvania Avenue protected bike lane. One of the features that I wanted to add when I took over this project from the previous project manager back in 2018 was to add raised concrete pedestrian refuge islands. And so on the lower left is it shows a circle around one of the locations at E Street. And these are essentially where they are the shadow of where the left turn lane is coming southbound. And there's in it, as well as the parking lane that picks up next to it. So there's a detail of it showing the cut through, the detectable warnings for ADA compliance, and the large 10-foot wide concrete islands. So these, what pedestrians typically do, and the benefit for pedestrians is, well, it can slow down vehicle speeds a little bit because it's a hard edge, curb edge that's closer to their travel lane. So it has that benefit, but mainly it allows pedestrians to look at the bike lane. If there are no bikes coming and but they're not supposed to cross the main street, they can cross the bike lane, but they can wait then. And then when they get the signal, they have a good 20 feet less distance to cross. So it really shortens the crossing distance for pedestrians by a significant amount. And we have been able to add those at most of the intersections on the one-way segment. We were not able to keep them on the two-way segment because of the turning conflicts that are happening with the two-way operation. And then the lower right is something Mike and I worked very hard on with Barry Gutin at the Cuba Libre restaurant. We are able to preserve their streetery by shaving its width by just a bit, and it will be 7 feet wide and not 8, but will continue to serve as a streetery for his restaurant. He was very, very adamant that he keep that streetery, and we've been able to do that. Moving up the corridor from G Street, again, another refuge island. I'm starting on the upper left here for folks looking. Another refuge island at G, and I apologize, I misidentified the Cuba Libre streetery in that last one. This is the Cuba Libre streetery just before G Street, or rather H Street here. And so you can see that the protected bike lane has to come out, and we have a little bit narrower buffer with the travel lane. So that's not ideal, but we're balancing a lot of demands. The restaurants really want to keep, many of them want to keep these streeteries very badly. Even though the program is going to change and will cost more money, or will for the first time cost money to rent the space, they are still quite interested in keeping them for the business that it can generate, especially with still being in somewhat of a COVID stance in terms of outdoor dining. So the bike lane then tapers back to the curb edge as it heads northbound. And then the only other thing I'll add is that we are working with the design engineers to try to add another refuge island just catty corner from the convention center next to Mount Vernon Square at Mass, where that red circle is. We're working on it. We haven't heard whether they're going to be able to fit it in, but we think once again, there's going to be 1 lane or 2 lanes southbound that spread out into essentially 5 lanes. We're able to, with just skinnying up the lanes a bit, we're able to fit the protected bike lane in and keep all those lanes. There's no reason that they can't flare after a refuge island and still get just about all the stacking distance that is needed. So we're still working with them. We haven't gotten the go ahead on that yet, but we're working on that. And then after that, again, it goes into the two-way section. I will point out again, we worked very hard with Unconventional Diner, met with the owner of that, and with Tallboy. And again, we are continuing to bypass the streeteries so that they can remain. It does cause a loss of parking. In this case, we've tucked the bike lane back in and gotten about 40 or 50 feet of parking area here, and that will be a Pudo zone for sort of the nightlife in this area. Yeah, so the only drawback with these is that we don't, we have concrete wheel stops and flex posts between the travel lane and the bike lane, which is not as robust as the larger buffer area or the parking lane. So there are some trade-offs, but we believe it will function pretty well. And then, of course, it goes on up the corridor. We are keeping all the back and angle church parking, just flipping the parking to the other side of the street as we head up from Shiloh to New Bethel. And it comes up to R, to T, S, and to T. And then, of course, the top block has already been built as part of the Florida Avenue project. So it will tie in at T Street to the new configuration that's already been built. So that's about all I have. As I said, we issued it in the NOI in earlier in August, closes on this 22nd. We are in this final round of ANC outreach and coordination. And then right now it's a little unclear exactly when the construction will begin. It cannot begin obviously before the NOI closes, but it could begin very shortly after. And we are still in discussion. I'm still talking to the construction manager engineer, because this is a very long corridor. It's 1.4 miles, and it's fairly possible we will not be able to finish the whole thing before the cold weather makes it impossible to stripe. So I'm in discussion with the engineers, and I will convey to all ANCs as soon as I know whether they will start at the north end and work south, or start at the one-way segment and work south, or work from south to north. This is not, we've batted around some pluses and minuses of each of those scenarios, but we have not made the decision then on that, but I will convey that to you all as soon as I know. So I'm open to take questions now.
I have, I think, 3 questions. So we are taking 9th Street through our ANC and moving it from 3 lanes of regular traffic to 2 lanes during non-rush hour and 3 lanes during rush hour.
That is correct. Yeah, the traffic analysis showed that in the off-peak times, there's the capacity of 2 lanes is plenty to service the number of vehicles. And we're just getting some data now from COG about how many people are telecommuting, as we all know, but now we're seeing some hard data from the latest travel survey. And so I think we're seeing generally lower volumes on almost all roads, less on the east and northeast, but in the northwest and central city, definitely the lower traffic volumes all the time, but still enough to justify the 3 lanes at peak.
Got it. And then, as I so appreciate you maintaining the ability for Cuba Libre and other businesses up the street to maintain their streeteries. I know that the Riggs Hotel had a streetery which was on the west side of the street, and that's at 9th and F.
Yes.
And are they not interested in maintaining that, or is that just not possible here?
The bottom line is it's not possible, and I reached out to we've communicated to them that it will not be possible for them to rebuild that streetery because of the new rush hour lane use of that curb lane. They have not rebuilt the streetery since it burned.
Right.
And they were toying with the idea of rebuilding it, according to information I received from them. So, but we have communicated to them, and they have 30 days, minimum of 30 days to remove anything from the curb lane.
Right.
I haven't been there to see what exactly is there, but yeah, we have communicated, and I've not heard back yet, but I was expecting to hear something from them. I sent it to them about a week and a half ago, I say. We'd saved every one that we could. That
Right.
one, we couldn't route anything around it. It wasn't
Right.
that because it was on the other side of the street. So
Exactly. Okay. Gotcha. I just wanted to figure that out with you. These raised areas are it's just like a curb area, like a buffer on each end, and it's flat. It's not like a raised crosswalk.
No, the crosswalk is not raised, but there is what we call a crossing or refuge island.
Got it.
Right. So there's a nose to it, and then the larger part to the left, downstream of it. Which gives when you're standing there, you feel a lot more protected than if it was just a crosswalk. I mean, we'd love to go back and do this kind of an upgrade to the 15th Street protected bike lane. As time goes by, that would be something I think would help pedestrian safety and a little bit of traffic calming.
Got it. And the bicycles like 15th Street will be stopped using like crosswalk signals.
Yes.
Up this area. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So we do not have bicycle signals in this project. We're using the same thing we typically do, except in some unusual situations like there at Pennsylvania Avenue and 15th, where we have a bike signal. It's not, it's a little complicated, but the way the feds regulate the bicycle signal is there can be no permissive turn or conflict of traffic of any kind from any direction if a bike signal is used. So in other words, when a bike has a signal, a green signal, they can be sure that every other approach, vehicular approach, has got a red signal of some kind or will not be turning across their path. That's not the way green signals work for cars, as we all know,
right.
But they have a higher standard. And there's a lot of discussion and debate with the committee that oversees that manual about changing that. But right now it's not changed. So we could theoretically use them in the one-way section, because there is no way for a car to take a permissive right turn across the bike lane, because there is no northbound right like there is in the two-way section. But for consistency, we thought, if you're in the southbound, if you're in the lower section and you're riding along and you see bike signals, and then you get past Mount Vernon Square, all of a sudden, where's the bike signal? Because we can't legally use them in that other section. So we decided, just for consistency's sake, that people will have the sign, bikes use PED signal, so watch the PED signal, and you'll get the LPI like the PEDs do.
Right.
So that's the situation with the bike signals.
Awesome. And just one more question, sorry.
Right.
Back up to the Mount Vernon Square area. I know that where you have the 5 lanes that reduced down, you were able to shrink them down. I know that when you're turning from, I believe it's K Street, if I'm correct, onto 9th Street, you have 2 turn lanes currently that turn to the east. I'm wondering if during this project, the possibility of extending that white kind of signpost thing, separating the down lanes, like the forward lanes with the turn lanes.
Yeah.
The reason being is that cars commonly come to K Street, and instead of turning, what they do is they turn left, proceed north on the 9th Street lane, and then do a U-turn into the southbound, the turn lanes. And I see that almost every time I walk by there, that people are traveling north in those lanes to get over to that turn lane versus going down the street and turning at I guess it is. Mm-hmm. So that may be something you want to consider there.
Yeah, I'd like to hear more about that. We can certainly talk to our traffic safety engineers about whether there's some countermeasures for that.
Got it.
Yeah.
Even though you have like all the signs, no left turn.
Yeah.
It still happens.
Yes.
I have no other questions with that. Commissioner Nelson?
I don't have any questions, thanks.
Are there any questions from the community? I'm trying to see here. Commissioner Nelson, can you, is there anybody with a hand up? I can't move my screen for some reason.
If they could stop sharing, maybe that might be helpful.
Stop sharing?
Yeah, if you could stop sharing a second.
Sure.
Oh, there we go. There I am. Okay, I'm back. All right. Are there any questions from community members?
I don't see any.
All right, I think this is great. I'm totally in favor of protected bike lanes in our city. I would hope that we can, I see Barb is chiming in the chat here. I'm hoping that there can be some enforcement that can occur with bikes on the sidewalk on this 9th Street corridor, or scooters. Because I believe that where there is a protected bike lane, I am totally in favor of there being someone there able to monitor people riding on the sidewalk, because the downtown area, no riding on sidewalks is really laughable, because no one follows that at all. It's all on the sidewalks. So if there's something in DDOT's purview for enforcement there, that would be something that I would highly recommend that happens along all of these protected bike lane areas.
Yeah, Commissioner, that's something we've heard in other parts of the city in the downtown area, especially with the scooters, because they only go 10 miles an hour and a lot of people don't feel safe in the street. But we can certainly, after it's complete, we can observe behavior and see what happens. We can even go out with clipboards and count people doing that. But what we've seen, and 15th Street was probably the biggest example, and Mike can tell me the stats maybe that I'm not remembering, but when we put the protected bike lane on 15th Street, we reduced sidewalk riding to almost zero. That's because great. People felt, so it's kind of, we create the vacuum with the bike lane, and people would rather just get in the protected bike lane than dodge pedestrians. Yeah. So I think it'll just having the facility will really move a lot of people off the sidewalk.
That's great.
That's our experience, but we can certainly follow up with and see how it works.
Well, I would agree with that. I think the issue is the protected part of it, of bike lanes, right? I mean, I think most people, because I ride my bike a lot to work and to different places, and I wasn't a fan of riding in the street because I was afraid of being hit by a car. But now that there is I use the lane that goes down, I guess that's third or fourth, whichever one it is, but it makes a huge difference. And so I think that you're right, George, and that once it's built up and that people see that it's there, that we won't have as many problems with people riding on the sidewalk.
Yeah. I would like to move that we send a letter of support for the protected bike lane project, just noting some of the issues that I talked about there as potential issues.
Second.
And all those in favor? Awesome. So 2 of 2 commissioners voted in favor of that. We'll respond to the NOI and get something over to you guys. But this is great. I applaud the speed and efficiency of getting this done. So great job.
Thank you. Thank you for having us, and thanks for all the good feedback we've received over the last year and a half since we re-engaged. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you, Commissioner. Thanks.
Thank you.
And good seeing you, Donovan.
You as well, Commissioner. Thanks.
Awesome. And Mike as well. Next we have is Dos Trio Chinatown. Is someone representing Dos Trios?
Is anybody here for Dos Toros?
Oh, Dos Toros. Sorry.
It's okay.
Hence,
It doesn't look like it.
I don't believe so. I have. Let me just open this up 1 second. This is listed as a protected, an unenclosed cafe space that they are considering putting. I'm just going to show you this, highlight this quickly, because I think this is an important thing for us to weigh in on.
Do you think that we should have them here to discuss it, though?
We should have, and they were invited. They were absolutely invited to participate.
Do we have to? I guess my question is, do we have to talk about it today since they're not here, or?
Well, I want to I believe object to this with the way that it is currently laid out.
Okay.
And I don't want them to speed through the process without having some additional clarity. So this is this is located at the corner of 7th and G Street on the north side of the street, and it was the old Eagle Bank location.
Okay.
Where they enter on the corner, and the ATM was right here where the sink is, I think. But they're looking to put a sidewalk cafe in here. It's a fairly wide street that they have here. The one thing that I dislike about this is this fencing that they have around the cafe that looks to me like it is anchored into the concrete. Like, here's a good picture. Fence enlarged. This is a 2 feet 4 inch fence, which is not that high of a fence. That's kind of looping around here. This seems, I don't know. I just seem like this is very. I don't know if they're going to keep their tables in here at night. Is this fence mounted to the ground? It looks like it is.
But we really need a picture of what it's actually going to look like.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look like they provided one, does it?
No, I don't see one in the schematic.
Yeah.
So if the fence is attached to the sidewalk, I would like to recommend that we send a letter not supporting the secured, anchored down fencing. Lots of other places have portable fencing options, which I don't see that looks like that, and I don't know.
So is it possible for us to let them know that they really need to make an appearance at the next meeting so that we can get clarification? Otherwise, we will be forced to, to not recommend them.
Right. I think that we need to send a response saying that we don't know what this is because the deadline is approaching for this.
Yeah. Well, it's their deadline. So if clearly they must not be that worried about it if they didn't show up.
This is one of these things that can just slip through if we don't act on it. That's why, like, if we don't provide feedback,
right.
DDOT can stamp it. That's my concern.
Oh, I see. Okay, so this isn't really, the process isn't necessarily contingent on us. I thought it was.
No, it's not contingent on us. No.
Okay, understood. Okay, so you want to make a motion to respond to them?
So I would like to, I would like to move.
Oh, we have a question.
We have a question. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry, we have a question. Is this Thomas Lee?
This is Tom. I was just going to suggest that I think I do agree with you on the fencing, especially if it's like secured and anchored on the sidewalk. That a suggestion would be like they adopt something like they have, like Haleo has along 7th Street. They use, movable planters, and it's softer, it's nicer, it provides screening, but it does provide the same effect.
Yes, I would agree with you completely with that. I would like to move that we contact the applicant, and if the fencing is secured to the sidewalk, that we send a letter opposing the secured sidewalk fencing. Otherwise, I think we'll just let it go.
So maybe we should word it to where what you said, but then can we just request like an actual photograph of what it's going to look like? And then that way we know what we're dealing with.
Sure. So I'll amend the motion to reach out to the applicant inquiring about how the fences are secured, and requesting some kind of photograph demonstrating what
image, something.
what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
There.
All right, second.
Okay. All in favor? Okay, 2 of 2 approving. Okay, great. Thank you. And then under planning, zoning, environment, and historic preservation, we have two issues to undertake this evening. One is related to Howl at the Moon, which is reopening, well, going to open on 7th Street. This was a place that was opening prior to the pandemic, and we was kind of paused for a while.
Do you know what it's replacing? Because I kind of don't have a visual of that address.
I do not. Is
I'll-
anybody from Howl at the Moon on?
It was the ping pong dim sum.
Ah, that's it.
Oh.
Thank you. Here we go.
It was the location where they had that Chinese dim sum place. I forget the name of it,
Yes,
but that was the location.
ping
Oh,
pong.
ping pong.
Ping
Yeah,
pong.
that's what Thomas said. Yeah.
Yes, thank you for that. And I'm just going to share my screen quickly. I have it now available, kind of. This is from, I'm not sharing my screen, sorry. What just happened? This is from, just download here, sorry. I thought this was downloaded. Okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. So let me, okay, let me find my Zoom. I'm so sorry. My computer is being, there it is. Hello, Zoom. Okay, here we go. Zoom, okay. I'm just gonna open this up here so you can see this. This is located at kind of the intersection of K and Massachusetts. It's down the street in this 900 7th Street block. This building is the block. And I believe you're going to enter this. There's signs currently on 7th Street in the windows for this establishment.
Okay.
And it's at 7th and I is kind of the corner. It's closest to that. It moved up next to or close to the new Eagle Bank, right across from Yard House. They are looking, as you know, the Chinatown Design Committee requires Chinese lettering
Right.
on the canopy. So the canopy is going to come out. Here it is, ping pong. I should have looked at this better. Ping pong, and they have to have a front blade sign that comes out in Chinatown, also with Chinese lettering.
Okay.
This
Are
is,
we sure that those letters actually say what they're meant to say?
no, I am not. That is no, I do not know that. Anybody on the call, do you know that? It's probably a very
I was just saying it looks about right.
it's about right.
But yeah.
Yeah. The Office of Planning usually notes that around the translation, but not always.
I just remember that last time we were talking about signage. It was just
Someone said
kind of-
something about a I don't know, burger.
whatever it was. Yeah.
Whatever it
yeah.
was, exactly. It looks like they're also doing these large signs, and it looks like if you look from
Okay.
the picture, this is what Ping Pong had done outside the establishment. This is kind of a there's not a lot here on this block until you get up here to True Luck and you have the bank. So
right.
to really be able to attract people to the establishment. I do not necessarily know how I feel about the wee little Chinese letters at the bottom of the signage here.
Well, they're definitely not meant to necessarily be read.
No,
I don't think.
No. But I think that the overall structure looks good.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess that, you know, the sign you showed before, the where it comes out, that one. I mean, I'm assuming they all say the same thing. So I guess if you can see it there, then that's enough, I guess.
Yeah.
Or does the commission expect for all the letters, like all the words and all the letters, to actually be readable?
I would think they should be readable. But I don't know how big that is, but that's not very big.
It seems very tiny on this picture, but maybe it's bigger in person.
Yeah.
3 feet wide.
3 feet wide?
Yeah, it's 3 feet wide, the banner.
Oh, well, there it does say that, doesn't it? Yeah. Thank you, Thomas.
That's why Thomas is running for ANC commissioner.
And that's why he'll win.
Okay. I don't have any challenges with this.
I don't.
Would you like to move?
So we can move to, do we need to send a letter of support for this, or is it something else? Okay, so letter of support for Howl at the Moon for the Planning, Zoning, and Environment Historic Preservation Commission.
I will second that.
All in favor?
2 of 2 commissioners voting in favor. And finally, we have Tom's Watch Bar at 781 7th Street. Hang on one sec, and I will pull that up.
It seems like 7th Street is changing like every day.
It is, which I'm glad we have some action. Whoops.
Is anybody here from Tom's Watch Bar?
I am.
Oh, yay! Please, I'm opening your graphic right now. I believe this is the latest version. It looks like you had submitted a redesign at some point.
Correct.
Okay, let's see. Hi there. What's your name? Bob.
Bob Biernick.
Bob, thank you. Okay, so I believe this is the signage.
Correct.
For the watch bar. And what location are you going in? You're right beside the.
Yeah, that used to be the Circa. Actually, we're the designer and contractor who, if everybody remembers, that used to be Zingle one time years ago. So we were the original contractor, did that Zingle sign, and the building property owners, they always come to us because of our experience, what we could provide in it. And we worked really closely with historic preservation regarding this signage, because that's why we made so many versions of this particular sign to make them happy, because they do require this area as an entertainment center that in Chinatown also. So they wanted something real fancy that you weren't able to find anywhere else in district. And that this was kind of, they were happy with what we submitted, and just the final design. So there are actually 2 signs that was replacing exactly existing signage was installed back, I think 2012 was Zingo.
Got it.
And then it then become Circa, and after COVID, they shut down. And Tom's Watch Bar is a sports bar that's going in there. So they have several locations all over the country: Denver, Connecticut, Las Vegas, and California. And this is their sixth location opening up in DC.
Got it. So this is replacing the Circa sign. Did the Circa have the blade where it says Tom's down?
Yeah, there were. It wasn't actually. If you scroll that, they had just a regular fabric banner, Zingo. I mean,
fabric banner.
Circa.
Oh.
Then we once become we switched it to from Zingo to Circa. It was banner. Now they're going back to original design. Was Zingo had is just a actual illuminated blade sign. So that's what.
Oh, it had an illuminated sign. Okay, gotcha.
Correct. Yes.
Gotcha.
I think that right there.
Oh yeah, there you go.
The sign that we did originally that was illuminated, and then they're using the Circa canopy that was in front of the building. So because they want to keep the penetration not to limited from making it additional holes into the building. So that's another consideration of keeping that same structure as far as Circa goes, and adding the Tom's Watch Bar for the front of the building. And the front sign out there above there.
Yes. Is this a neon sign?
No, actually, it's not. It's what we call it a full LED. So it's imitates, looks like neon, but it's not. Those colors will change. That's what historic preservation wanted. They wanted something unique. And during daytime, you see on the left side, the sign will look white. At nighttime, we will illuminate different colors as far as Tom's goes.
Got it. Got it. This is great, and and you can enlighten us. How does the Chinese lettering get checked?
We have somebody in our office that he's the one came up with the translation, and we send it up to the office, and they did check the translation of, and it says Tom Watchfire.
Good, awesome, that's great. Well, we just needed to be enlightened. We had no idea, so that's great. Commissioner Nelson, I don't have any concerns regarding this. Does there any concerns from community members? Howard.
Yeah, I'm the vice president of the Residents of Gallery Place Condominium Board, which abuts this property, this Tom's Watch Bar. We already worked out what I thought was, thanks to you, Chairman Schenkel, a very equitable resolution of our protest dealing with the issuance of the Abra license for Tom's Watch Bar. I think that was a really good compromise reached by both parties. I'm not very crazy, frankly, of that LED sign. Historic preservation might have found it's okay, but it's very uncharacteristic for the businesses in Chinatown to have that kind of illumination. Mm-hmm. And it really detracts from our building. Our building sign is right next door. We don't have the honky tonk. We don't have, we're not a business. We're a residence with 300 people live in our building, 192 units. I just don't like it. I don't like it one bit. Mm-hmm. And I don't know whether we could protest or whether we could go back and work with the developer here to tone down that illumination at night. It sounds the wrong. It sends the wrong signal of what kind of neighborhood this is. We are a mixed use.
Maybe let me inject. When we talking about LED illumination, your perception is that it's going to be that like that sign on the corner of the building which that it has that marquee sign, big marquee sign. That's not even close to this signage. If you look at the sign across the street, Capital One, those are LED. If you look at the across the street, what's that? There's not CVS, the other Walgreens. That's LED. So when we're talking about LED illumination, we're talking about energy saving. Their lighting, they could be controlled as far as brightness because there are LEDs, but the perception is that it's going to be something like the sign on the corner of the building, that huge LED board that is above the metro station. This is not same signage that you're thinking about.
So I didn't get a chance to weigh in before we went to the community. I have to say I kind of agree with Howard on this. I was a little taken aback by it. I'm willing to, to give it the benefit of the doubt, but I do want to go on record as saying that I'm not 100% sold on the signage. I'm not sure if that's something that can be revised at this point. If the Planning Commission has already agreed to it, but I'm kind of the opinion with Howard that it seems like a real departure from what's there right now. And granted, not everything has to look exactly the same, but this seems like it's a real departure.
Will these letters, like the way the letters were displaying, it looked like they had LED, not LED. It looked like they had neon kind of. I know they're not neon, but it looks like they have.
It's that really bright kind of look.
Well, actually, there's a in front of the face of those letters. There's a white lens that is protecting. That's only at nighttime. It's you only see the almost like a shadow of the colors. You don't see the whole brightness of what you're thinking. It's not open face like the Walgreens sign that you see across the street. Walgreens has that LED rope. Looks like neon, but it's not neon. Because now nobody uses neon anymore.
Right.
Not energy efficient and service-wise though. So everybody's getting away from it. So it gives you that illusion of it's neon, but it's not. But this particular project, we spent, maybe this is our 11th revision to get historic preservation approval. We had a simpler sign, but they didn't want that. And this cost, to be honest with you, it cost 3-4 times more money than what originally was submitted to that.
Right. Is the outline of this like?
If you if you share your screen again.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I thought I was sharing, but hold on. I'm having all kinds of Zoom issues this evening. Sorry about that. There we go. I think I'm back up. Am I back up?
Yes, you are.
See the illustration on the left side.
I understand that that's the daytime look. I think we're all just sort of looking at the nighttime look and just how that's.
The nighttime look is gonna, it won't be as bright as that it looks like in the picture because that's just the illustration. Because the white lens in front of those faces, it is cutting back on how bright the sign is going to be anyway. It's not, like I said, it's not open like a neon. If it was like neon or the sign across the street like Walgreens, it would be quite bright, but it's not that bright. I assure you, because we went through this process with the owners of their Tom's Watch and historic preservation to come up with this idea of what they were acceptable, and they keep referring to this as an entertainment center, or sports center or whatever it is in that area that they're calling it.
Do the other Tom's Watch Bars, I know you said there were a couple different ones already in the area, is that right?
Not in the area. They're opening the second one by the Nat Stadium, but that's not. They're still in the planning. But they have other ones outside of the. They're in Denver, Connecticut.
Denver. Are those signs like this as well?
Not really. They're close to it, but they have something. They have something that's much even brighter than this one. I think that they are inside the Denver. The baseball team, actually, I gotta look it up. Their sign over there, I think, is much bigger and brighter than what it was proposed here. And there were some challenges to get these signs supported because the old Zingo sign is gone, and we have to redo all the support and to get this
right
back.
We have another question from Thomas, I think.
And believe it or not, the commissioner, their historic preservation, they wanted something much fancier. They want something to be spinning. So that
right.
wasn't going to be awesome.
Well, we don't want something spinning. That's for sure.
Thomas, if you had a question.
Yeah, I was just looking at the signage. It reminds me of the Toys R Us logo for some reason, in its color. But I'm looking at all the other Tom's Sports Bar signage online, and they're all just white and black. Was it did someone suggest to use color? The purple,
yeah,
red?
Well, they wanted something more unique, the historic preservation. Actually, the owner of Tom's Watch Bar didn't want the sign to be different than what they already have in other locations. But this is what we came up with. Well, those colors, it was thrown in by our designer to show that the color could be changed if they wanted to. That not necessarily could be those colors, could be any other color, or could be all solid color. Actually, it could be all red or blue or green. And by the way, our company, president of our company, did Toys R Us design originally. That was our work because our company
that's great.
He's the one designed it, and that the R was been backward. That wasn't by design. That was by mistake.
I love it. Good to know.
Toys R Us was a Washington D.C. Started here our company started in Washington. We were off on Montana Avenue for 60 years before we moved.
Got it. That's great. Commissioner Nelson, what are your thoughts here?
I mean, I'm not gonna vote against it, but I'm not. He's saying that since he's telling us that it's not gonna look quite as bright as it does in this photograph because there's some sort of filter in front of it, I guess. So, yes.
I'm equally concerned that the Office of Planning wanted something super designy.
It doesn't sound like their typical MO.
and this is a entertainment center, and I'm like what happened down there when they were doing this? I would like.
I think you should reach out to Mr. Shaheen.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
I think you should reach out to Mr. Shaheen at the Office of. He's the one wanted something real different from what it was designed originally.
Got it. Then I would like to move that we send a letter to the Office of Planning saying that this is not characteristic with the signage in the Chinatown community, and we are concerned that this sign looks too much like a neon. I know it's not neon, like a neon sign, and we're concerned that that will degrade the neighborhood, the appearance of the appearance in the neighborhood.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? So 2 of 2 commissioners voting in that. We will we'll send a letter back to the Office of Planning saying that we don't agree with the signage and their idea behind this. I know that this is a sports bar scenario, but I think that one of the big concerns that we had with the Abra license was related to that this is not a typical bar where people plant themselves, but a restaurant that they come to socialize and happen to watch sporting events. So we have to go back and we have to ask them to clarify this design or this concept that they're pushing you in, because I'm not certain that this is the right concept.
Well, the Tom Watch Bar representative would be happy just to keep the sign, the black and white, that we on what you see during the day should be on nighttime, and that would tremendously save them a lot of money, because that's the real sign right there is $60,000.
I'm actually in favor of the black and white.
Yeah, I'm actually in favor of the black and white too.
Because the black and white sign reminds me of the Circa sign that was there before, and that was black and white as well. And
Yeah,
almost
exactly.
the same lettering, same font.
Yeah.
It reminds you of a what? I'm sorry,
The
Thomas.
Circa, the building, the
Oh, the
establishment
Circa,
that was
right.
there before.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Well, let us send that off to them and just express our opinions there about that. They will probably come back to you.
Okay, great.
Okay. Sorry.
It was a very
for-
interesting. I never been on one of these meetings, but I do live in the area.
Oh,
I live by
great.
Rio Vista, so this was educational, finding out about a lot of crimes, which I'm a little concerned
Awesome.
about.
Well, we appreciate you being here and presenting this for the owner, and we will send this off, and I'll send you a copy of the letter as well.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Thomas, do you still have your hand up, or you're on mute?
I don't have my hand up, but I wanted to thank, as I put in the chat, I wanted to thank the ANC tonight for acting decisively to reflect the community concerns, our concerns about the sign. We are very grateful to both of you for acting tonight and sending the letter. Thank you.
Got it. Got it. I'm sorry I was not paying attention to the chat there, but we have lots of responses in there. So thank you for that as well. We appreciate that. Is there any other new business, Commissioner Nelson?
Nope.
Then I move that we adjourn our meeting.
Second.
Awesome. All those in favor? Awesome. 202 voting in favor of adjournment. Thank you all so much for joining us and staying till the end. You win the prize this evening. Yay. Our next meeting will be October 11th at 6 p.m. Same place. We are allowed to operate through mid-November virtually at this point, which we may that may be extended yet again. So we will continue to meet virtually because we appreciate your engagement in this process. And thanks so much, everybody. Have a great night.
Thanks, Michael. Bye.
Thanks, Gigi.